Welcome, everyone, to Nicola Valley Talk, a product of Experience Nicola Valley, featuring many amazing blogs written by many amazing people who know a thing or two uh, about living in a small community. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, join us. I am your host, Tania Stewart, as well as an eco-blogger with Experience Nicola Valley. Helping promote, promote our community, businesses, nonprofit agencies, musicians, artists, and tourism in our valley and in our sister community, Logan Lake. Self-distancing in my kitchen, staying safe. Tonight, our guest is someone, ooh, and I'm so excited about this, many will know as one of the brothers of tourism, Girard. Tonight, we will be talking and discussing small town marketing, the Experience Nicola Valley program, Canadian tourism, and with a top ranked travel blogger, small town community consultant, and entrepreneur. So let us welcome the man of the hour, Greg Girard. Hi, Greg.
Hi. Hello, Nickel
and,
Valley.
and how are you?
I am fantabulous. Thank you. And thank you for having me on your show.
Well, hey, I'm thankful to have you on my show. And we must say, Greg, did my first live, right? So everyone
Yep.
bear with me, not so much Greg, but okay. So Greg, for the people though that don't
Yep.
know you, could you please provide our viewers a snapshot of yourself, a bio of sort?
First, a shout out to the Merit Centennials and Mr. Tom Reynolds. There's your Merit Centennials jersey. To answer, good question. A little bit about who we are. There's two of us for one. There's Colin and myself. We're the co-founders. We were pretty much entrepreneurs ever since we were teenagers. It's sort of been bred into us. Our parents were small business owners and they worked hard all their lives. I had my first company when I was at 16 called College Cutters. I used to cut grass to raise money to put me through university. My first career slugging it out in the corporate world started at Future Shop before it became Best Buy. And I was a salesman selling TVs and stereo systems straight out of school. And then I was promoted to manager, became manager of the year. And then I started to open stores across Canada for Future Shop, and then worked to my way up to national training director. My last job was an international marketing director. I worked between an Edmonton office and another office in Dresden, Germany. We ran an internal staff of software marketing, print marketing, and online marketing. And then I think at that time, Tania, I sort of had a look around, and I looked and I said, is this where I want to go with my life, and where do I want to be at that age? And I looked around the table and I just didn't like what I saw and liked what other people are becoming. And so one day in 2002, Colin, my brother, who started this whole thing, smart little guy, he was running a website out of Sydney, BC that did Victoria and Vancouver Island. And at that time, I decided that I thought we looked at it and I says, you got something great here. So we joined up. And at that time, he's basically now become where we now have grown it to being a Canada-wide. We've done a lot of clients, kept encouraging us to grow and grow. We do tourism a little bit different than most, if anyone who knows us. The big thing, Tanya, I'm going to tell you, we did, I think the big eye-opener for both Colin and I is when we did our, went across Canada. It took 10 years to get there and 3 months to get back. And during that time, we researched 1,023 communities. 3 years ago, we got back and we started to put what we learned from our research study all together. In the process, we've developed in a very short period of time, and we're still developing. It never stops. Our award-winning website we just won Best Nationwide Travel Adventure Company in 2020 by Lux Life. Then we've got our award-winning blog called Two Brothers, 2 Feet, 2 Curious, 2 Canadian, and it was ranked 23rd in the top 1,000 global travel bloggers. And now we're working our own talk show. It's got really cool guests, just like you. You got really cool guests, and that's pretty much where we are right now. And then we've got these other programs which we don't want to spoil it, but we'll talk into it. Colin's the same story. Worked in the hospitality, worked his way up to management. Had the corporate life, decided he didn't want to go there, and I think we both decided we wanted quality over quantity because we both had good paying jobs, and took our skills and thought we could do better on our own and live a better life. So it worked out good.
And thank goodness for that. Because we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And which leads me on to the next question. So you mentioned Alberta and Dresden, Germany. Like, wow, Dresden, Germany. Like, that must have been amazing.
Oh.
Germany, beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, we were right on the River Elbe. And every Friday, the Germans would bring out their tents and they'd have their big their beer and what are they called? What are those?
Sauerkraut.
There you go. Beer, sauerkraut parties right on the river, and it's just they're fun people, the Germans.
They are. I had an uncle, and bless his heart, he's passed, but I just love that man. Germans are amazing. So, which leads me on to the next. So you guys lived there. So what brought you? Okay, you guys wanted to get out of the businesses and where you worked. You were making great money and stuff. So why marketing? Why consulting? Why Canadian tourism? Mm-hmm. And why small town communities?
Yeah, great question again. Ever since we were kids, we've been adrenaline junkies. And every time we had a spare moment, whether college cutters or starting washing dishes at a restaurant, working with our parents, whatever it was, every spare moment we spent hunting down adventures. So a lot of backpacking, wilderness camping, hiking, mountain biking, kayaking, anything we could get our hands on, we do. Seeing our country through the eyes of small towns is when we started to go across the country. We went around for 10 years and we looked at what was happening in all the small towns and everything of that sort. And when we did it, this is what people don't really get, is we took all the secondary highways and backcountry roads. We didn't go trans-Canada if we didn't have to. So we got to see some of the most amazing culture, heritage, hiking trails, everything, beaches, everything that we saw up there was absolutely amazing. And through that research, the corporate world is a tough world. The suit and tie world, it's cutthroat. It's a tough world, and it's not a happy world, really. And you got to make a decision is, what your priorities are in life. So Colin and I wanted to live a happy world. We wanted to be in a happy world, create a happy world. So we started discovering how lucky we were and how beautiful the country is. And we said, well, this is a perfect match. We can use our love for the outdoors, passion for culture, heritage, road tripping, photography, everything we like to do in our spare time. Now we have an opportunity where we could take that and make money enough to live okay life and pay our bills. So, it was a pretty easy decision if you're looking at it. Quality of life over quantity. And I think choosing quality was a great idea, and hopefully we can live longer because of it. But, having the opportunity to turn what you like to do in your spare time into something you could do in your work time, in my world, that's a pretty good world.
And it sure is great because I know myself, I studied for forever, have 2 degrees in whatever, and I worked in a government agency, worked as a social worker for years and years. And it's draining, and I loved it to a certain point. So which leads me on to my next question, Gray. Why focus on small town communities when most travelers want to visit the bigger cities because of the attractions and the city life? What is best about small town communities that make them ideal to be a destination point for all tourists and people?
Okay. It's true. Most travelers may visit the urban areas like Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, Halifax. that is where the big money is. The big urban destinations, that's where the big money is, and where tourism associations, unfortunately, they focus on because the big dollar's there. However, and this is important in our eyes, is that there are more small towns who depend on tourism to get the lights on, to keep the lights on. Urban centers got a lot of backup plans when things don't go right. They got a ton of stuff they can fall back, whether it's their corporate, their infrastructure, their manufacturing, their services. They got tons to, but so many small towns, if tourism goes sideways, they go sideways because it's a big GDP. It's a big thing that's keeping all the juices rolling within that town. And if COVID-19, if all the program, let's go this route. All the programs and technology and the marketing available out there right now, if you were to go out and say there's a shopping cart, and we said, okay, let's go buy some tourism stuff to make our town and economic development stuff. Let's go out and buy some, but we got a small town budget, so we got to make sure we're looking in the lower end. There's nothing out there for urban centers. Everything is built for urban centers where they have staff, time, skills, and funding. All the big models are all built for that. None of the big models are built for small towns who have no staff, no funding, no time, and the skills aren't there because they don't have the population base to draw that skill. So if none of the small towns have these necessary foundations to running a very good community marketing structure, and all the programs are saying you need this to do it. So there's a disconnect. The technology is high maintenance for a small town, and what they need is something that is low maintenance. Plus, they need to take away some skills from a program that they can apply to their own business. That's the key to successful small town growth, is let them use what they're learning to help their own business. So small towns need the help. Big towns don't. Everything is built around their model, and they lost the limelight. If the big corporations turn, it's so simple. COVID changed everything then. So your travel priorities are now changing. So that's changed. Travel habits have changed. That's changed. Travel destinations, where we go and decide to go, that's changed. Funding has changed. Communication channels have changed. So if there's a shift going on in the marketplace, that means that tourism has to shift. That means businesses have to shift. That means the small towns have to shift. Snowbirds now aren't going overseas. You know what they're doing? They're getting vacation homes on the West Coast. So that's solidifying. You got cottage resorts, RV sales that are at a 5-year high right now. So all the tourism dynamics have changed. Outdoor travel and adventures with the wide open spaces are going to come out for the winners. That's who's going to win, who caters to that in a lot of many ways. So the question is, what businesses, with all these changes, with all the different traveler habits, trends, technology, all this is what the big question that I think we need to all ask ourselves is, who's going to still be standing when the carnage is done? Because tourism is going to come back. It's going to come back in a big hit because everybody's got this pent up travel. So when it comes back, who's going to be there to service them? That's the big question. And we're not giving them the tools, the skills, or the small towns the tools and the skills to do what they need to do to win.
And Greg, like, just thinking about that, like when it does come back, when people are going to travel, oh my, people are going to be overrun. Exactly. Who's giving them the tools, and how are people going to cope with it?
There's going to be a lot of winners and losers, and there's going to be communities that will get no tourism, and there's going to be communities that are going to get a ton of tourism. And
way over.
Yeah, and the scary part are the ones that don't, like the Tofinos and the Victorias and the Kelownas of the world and the Cape Scots and all, Cape Spear and all these places across the country are hotspots. They're not going to have a problem. It's the Knights Point, Newfoundland, that has a really nice hiking trail, real nice beach. They're not going to get the exposure maybe that they should get.
No kidding, eh? And so I myself, Greg, have traveled across many times, numerous times, and have found myself stopping in many small communities along the way. Just going off the being tracked, kind of like you, but maybe not so extensively. I was always interested in who lived there in these little, like in Alberta and Saskatchewan, where you see the silo and then they're like, what kind of town is it? And so I'd go there, and I was usually looking for the Legion or a bar, and just
Yep.
because believe it or not, and a couple of these places that I went to, a couple Legions and bars, there are pictures. They have walls of pictures on these walls of, and I wouldn't even know who are these people, where do they live, because you drive down the street and you see a road that goes on for miles and miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and trying to get back on track here, remembering those times were great
times.
times.
Memories are good.
They are, and I love those times. So and people are always nice in these small communities.
Mm-hmm.
So Greg, besides you and Colin, who else in the tourism industry have taken an interest in small communities with promoting and trying to bring tourism to them? And if not, why?
Well, it sort of leads into the previous question. I think there's a lot of people out there offering the urban centers all the advice they need, because the urban centers are going to pay the big tags, the big price tags for those programs. So that's it. But if it's coming to the small town tourism, there's a few consultants out there that are out there, but they're very specialized. There's not really any programs per se out there for small towns. They're either mass produced or corporation programs, or they're programs that are sent down that are basically designed for urban centers. So the small town, there's not a lot, because a lot of the things that the small towns need in order to have a successful marketing program on the ground and online requires things that they don't have. So with our program, we've taken all those factors in consideration. So we've taken them out of the equation, and all we're saying to the small town is go out and talk about your community, and our systems will do the rest. That takes away all the problems they were having with the bigger models. And in a lot of cases, from our analytics on the program, from a lot of cases, basically they're capturing on the first page of Google for a ton of searches now and expanding their reach. They're attracting new target groups, which is huge. Bringing new money to the community is huge. We've even had people come back and say, they're coming here from some of the areas around BC because they have read some of the information or watched a show like this that's gaining traction. So it goes back to the needs and wants of smaller rural communities. I mean, Crawla and I grew up in a small community. We love the small communities. We love the small community vibes. A lot of small communities have the best adventures around them because they don't have concrete. It's all forest, lakes, rivers, and a lot of it is self-fulfilling adventures. So I think in our eyes, it's pretty obvious that the models for marketing small towns is not working. And so we sort of have over 40 years experience combined between me and Colin of tourism marketing in general, not just online, but print and everything else. And we felt we could be a big service to the small towns. So why does the industry have nothing to offer small towns? Tell you the truth, Tania. Well, small towns are a lot more work is one. They are, because they don't have that pool of talent and the money and all that. And because they don't have the time and the skills. So to pay, it's just easier to work with big towns and who have a big tourism pie to choose from, and it's not a backup. So if not, why aren't they doing it? Because no one's figured it out. No one's figured out how a small town can do it affordably, effectively, until our program came along, which is the only one around.
And exactly, and I think you guys are figuring that out, how to work with small town communities and figuring out how. I can't imagine. I mean, I've done big cities and things like that, and I can't wait to get the heck out, right? And to go out, and to go out and to see the wild and what's offered in small town communities is just amazing. And not to mention the people are amazing. So Greg, how important is it at this time that many small communities need to market themselves? An example being the decline of the wood mills and many towns in COVID. And again, like you said earlier about when tourism does come back, when people are going to be traveling like Germans from Germany, Europeans, how can small town communities start now in projection of for later?
It's good. It's the $1 million question. Well, small towns, the one thing with small towns right now is this is one thing I'm not really getting, or I sort of get. I know that there's a funding problem and there's money problems and everything, but I know enough about the background of how small towns operate that there's a lot of money there that's being spent in other areas that really, if they put it into a system that the community can get behind and the community is going to fuel it and make it bigger, it's a win-win. So here's how I look at it. COVID-19 has dried up the well. The well is empty. So much so that the tourism associations themselves are even financially challenged. I mean, they're out there screaming for more money, more money, more money. I don't see any businesses in Timbuktu, BC on Main Street going to be getting any of that money. Okay, so that's not going to happen. That's going to go way, way beyond. So basically the small towns, small businesses throughout Canada, you're on your own. You really got to figure out how to put up a battle plan on your own. I mean, here at Canada, one of the things we like to do is one of the things me and Colin really try to do is we try to always look at a proactive approach. We never want to be a reactive approach. Unfortunately, in tourism, a lot of us, because we've only had one source of information for 40 years and all they're hearing is from one source all the time, the same message, you start to believe in it. And what we're saying is maybe you should lend your ear to a different message, because that 40-year message, it didn't work. It isn't working. And if it was, we'd have thousands of small communities out there doing well with tourism. So experts say it's going to take 3 years to get tourism back, moving again. 5 years, I think, for airlines to get international tourism back. That's the big spenders. So we're not going to have them around for quite some time to get them back to the pre-COVID level. Anyways, households are going to have a lot less money. So there's going to be less people in Canada are going to be able to travel because COVID's sucking everyone's bank account. Travel security is going to be a big issue. That's going to affect everything. Safety, not only at home, but at your destination. So it's not only the problem about the destination. People are worried about getting to the destination. And then they got to pay high travel insurance. So some do not even cover COVID now. I don't know if people are looking, but travel insurance doesn't even cover COVID. So name me one small town or rural community who can afford to wait.
I couldn't name anyone, and nope. I didn't even think of the COVID health insurance. Like, holy crow! So, Greg, thank you, because you just answered like a few of my other questions. And just to sum it up, so what tourism is going to look like in 2 to 5 years? You mentioned how it's going to open up and people aren't going to be skilled and quickly to go into, and how COVID has changed, right? Tourism in small town communities. You mentioned like it's depleting everyone. And so, Greg, quickly, can you tell us what A Canada travel website is and why is it different from the rest and so unique to tourism?
That's good. I mean, one of the things about with A Canada is when we're looking at things on how we're going to do it, we're not naive on what we're looking at. We know the next battleground for tourism is online, and every business, every small community should realize that. People are going to make decisions on where they go once everything gets a little bit back to the new abnormal. They're going to be online checking it out. So before pre-COVID, anyways, 56% of travels were influenced by social media on where to go. 98% go online. It's a 400-to-1 ratio, Tania, of people research 400 items before they do one booking, one planning. So the next battle for everybody is online. So the reason we like A Canada and what it's doing is A Canada is very different. It's not, for one, it's not government. It's not part of that family. We're one of the few privately operated ones out there. We're the only national one out there that does a big planning element. And we don't charge an arm and a leg. We don't charge 50%, 18% per booking. We want to help, so we charge a very minimal amount. And because of our marketing programs and what we do, we're actually offering everybody, every business in Canada, if you're in tourism, a free 1-year trial on our website. And let us do the rest. All you got to do is sign up your business and we'll do the rest. So A Canada is very different. We got a blog attached to it. We got the talk show attached to it. It has over 1,200 different communities. It covers the whole province, 6,000 parks, 18,000 pages, 16,000 photos and videos. It's a mastermind and excitopedia for planning your travels. And it's not done. It never will be done. It's always getting new information. So, and we also have an interactive feature where adventure ambassadors could sign up and add stories, and they'll get the credit, and we'll spread the word about it. So it's a very interactive site, and it's a lot different than the booking.coms, which don't help you plan anything.
And that's true, right? And you guys are more personal, that's for sure. And I tell you, you guys should write a song. I mean, well, not write a song, but you guys should sing a song. You and Colin, we've been everywhere.
Yeah, we've been everywhere, man.
And hey, where you guys are just up at the Arctic Circle and all those places, but that's for another time. So, Greg,
Yeah.
Could you share with our listeners what is special about the Nicola Valley and why this should be a stay vacation destination for travelers?
Well, from what I've gathered, when I first came here, I met with various groups. And we did a whole bunch of project plans, physical inventory analysis, perception analysis, and we wrote a big plan for the community. And I said from the get-go, there's no reason that the Nicola Valley shouldn't be a top adventure destination. It has all the right elements in place. It's at the major intersection of 4 or 5 major highways. It's got surrounding backcountry, over 200 plus lakes. Has a great 220 plus kilometers of mountain biking trails. Has rivers flowing through it. It's got everything to capture the outdoor adventure market. And the only opportunities I see is that we might miss the boat if we don't, take advantage of it and make it a small town. Because when this is all said and done, the explore element of Canada is going to be at an all-time high. There's going to be people exploring everything, and everyone's going to fight for the traveler dollar. So it's time to set in place. But the Nicola Valley's got it all. The people here are fantastic. I can't tell you how many of the coolest people I've met in the stores around town, the services around town. I've got people now because of some of the projects we've done and working with the experienced Nicola Valley blogging team, which has been fantastic, that are becoming really good friends. And I take pride in working with these fine people and with the right people in the Nicola Valley. And I think the opportunities are huge as long as we keep plugging away.
And you do plug away, because I do know you, Greg, and you work.
Yeah, I work a lot.
You work. You're a hard worker. You and your brother are both hard workers. And I'm going to plug you just on this point. I have never met two brothers that are so dedicated and so hardworking and who believe in what you believe in. And if no one sees that or gets it, then they must be, I don't know, from the moon or something.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Greg. And could you share with our listeners what the experience Nicola Valley? Did you answer that already about Nicola Valley bloggers and this talk show?
No, a little bit, but I mean, the hats off to the bloggers. We never came here to put a Canada on the forefront. What we want to do is put the Nicola Valley put the Nicola Valley on the map. Let people show their pride and advertise the valley. And the Experienced Nicola Valley blogging program is a gold mine, in my opinion. The analytics off the charts. Go ahead, search anything. Go search everything. We're not going to come up with every search, but one thing for sure is we're going to come up with a heck of a lot of them, and not just tourism searches. Economic, moving your families, schools, campgrounds, everything. So we have a very good program in place. The bloggers and yourself, Tania, awesome job. Tania, just to plug Tania, she was Blogger of the Year last year. She did a fantastic job, and now she's doing a great job on the talk show, and it's getting traction. I mean, I don't know if your viewers know this, Tania, but the Experienced Nicola Valley program got mentioned in Australia on a talk show, got mentioned in United Kingdom on a talk show. It won a BC Business. It was mentioned in the BC Business magazine. It is getting traction all over the world because it is different, and it involves the community. So kudos to you guys, to the blogger group, to those people that have stuck through and believe in the program, because you guys are the heroes. And in our eyes, as we grow this across Canada, because We want other people to get involved and become a big family. The Nicola Valley group is always going to be the flagship and the one that we refer to.
Aw. And I just had something to say, but now I totally forgot because I'm like, oh. So, Greg, you being the top, one of the top ranked global travel bloggers, right?
Yep.
And so I'm going to put this on here and see if I can work it out. So I want to plug you just a little bit more. Oh, I lost you.
Yeah.
There we go. I got it. Thank you,
Nicely
Greg.
done.
Quickly, tell us what this is.
Real quickly, we got overseas. There's a group of magazines called the AI Group of Magazines. It's around 12 different magazines, including Lux Life, which is a high-end, high luxury magazine that has over 235,000 distribution. And we were nominated and just informed that we won Best Nationwide Adventure Travel Company in 2020. And proud of it.
Okay.
There you go.
Anyway, there we go. So I'm going to leave that on there right now.
Yep.
It is my first live show. So Greg,
And well done.
well, thank you, Greg, and thanks to you. I mean, you're my teacher, and thank you, and a very amazing teacher too, with a lot of patience, and because I do get lazy in my grammar and stuff like that when I'm writing my blogs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we have a lot of fun with you guys. So, Greg, I want to thank you so much for being my first guest on live.
Oh.
Yeah, and yes, so I will be I guess seeing you soon, and I'll shut it down, and I'll say goodnight to you.
Okay.
So
Good night. Good night, Merritt. Thank you, Nicola Valley. Keep your chin up, people.
Okay, so I'm going to try to hide that, and there we go. Wow, what a great show again. Join us next week, same time, same place. I am your host, Tania Stewart, with Nicola Valley Talk Program, Experience Nicola Valley, promoting our community, small town, and make sure to check out all the amazing blogs at Experience Nicola Valley. Sorry. Remember the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink, and help keep our landfills empty.